So welcome to FinTECH 2021. I think in this particular session, we will focus primarily on the training needs of FinTech ecosystem. And what we've realized is over a period of time, while there's a lot of innovation which is happening in the market, there's very little of formal education which is happening. So when people are just hiring people, going about and hiring people, it's difficult to identify the right set of people in the market. A lot of people have a bookish knowledge or maybe too much of an enthusiastic knowledge about it, but not really on the ground. And people find it very difficult to hire as of now. So while we are seeing overall COVID has had impact, but generally on the hiring side, FinTech has been hiring a lot. So this particular session is about getting views from the leadership team in the market about this whole training needs of the market. So with this, I would request maybe Raj to quickly introduce himself and join the panel, and then we'll have Hero and Anand as well. So over to you, Raj, first.
Sure. So thank you so much, Samir, for this opportunity, and also to STP and TIE. My name is Raj. I am from Hyderabad, India, and formally educated in US. I have a MBA from Stern School of Management in New York. Okay, post that, so I have been a serial entrepreneur all my life. Started my business at the age of 16. Started a corporate company at the age of 22. Sold it at 25. And post that, I went to US to get a little bit more global exposure, and basically in the areas of strategy and finance. Was picked up by PricewaterhouseCoopers and joined their MCS practice. Was there for about 4.5 years. Post that, I came back to India and started a company called eYantra. eYantra was India's largest merchandising company. We raised funds multiple times in that company. Today, I run a company called Zaggle. Zaggle is a fintech company, and today we started off with just a single guy in 2012. Today we have about 200 plus people. In terms of overall wide end range, we look at digitizing spends, and automation and digitization are our core theme. We are one of the largest players in the prepaid space, and we are also going to launch our latest product, which is a credit card product called Founders Card, hopefully very soon. I like golf and I like playing badminton a lot. That's about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you for this introduction. Over to you, Hero.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me in the panel. I grew up in Rajasthan, and right after my undergrad from IIT Bombay in 2004, I moved to US. I have been an investor since 2006 after my grad school, and have invested based out of US till 2019. And in those 14, 15 years, I invested in global consumer internet, payments, fintechs, companies all around the world. Any place where I could find great businesses, great founders, we backed them and we stayed with them for many years. During that time frame, I was also tracking the journey of founders in India and Southeast Asia since 2012, 2013. And once Reliance Jio came in 2016, I thought founders are building companies, VCs are funding them, and finally consumers will come online. So next 10, 15 years should be really golden for Indian ecosystem, where a lot of great founders will build out infrastructure layer in payments or infrastructure layer in software. And on top of that, you will have consumer internet, gaming, all sort of new business models will come out. So I wanted to be part of that journey. I decided to join Beenext in early 2020 as a partner. And I'm really enjoying what I see, and I'm really excited to partner with really great founders, actually.
Yeah. Thank you. In fact, your impact is very much visible in last few months. You've done a few months, maybe a year or so, you have done multiple deals. So very, very visible name in the market. Thanks. So with this, we move to Anand. Anand's a dear friend, and I think he has been one of the fastest of the block setting up business. So over to you.
So thank you for the kind words, Samir. As always, we believe in bringing the high end of technology to the bottom of the pyramid. I come from 5 patents in banking background at my alma mater, ICICI Bank. And then I was invited by Yes Bank to be the Chief Innovation Officer, where I served for 6 years, and then started Nearby Technologies. With 500,000 retail touchpoints in the country, 17,000 odd PIN codes. We serve 150 million citizens. We don't call them customers yet, because citizen is a higher pedestal than that of a customer. And we believe in doing a lot for this segment, which does not tweak. The $700 that you spend for a cab for the dinner tonight is the cost of their monthly grocery. And we ensure that their transactions don't fail when we do 1,600 transactions per second on our platform. So end-to-end NPCI integration on all our platforms, ASP certifications, and NPCI net integration helps us avoid multiple hops. With 5,000 crore of monthly throughput, we believe we are the largest agent banking platform in the region, at least, have no validations of world over. But we believe that with the approach that we are taking on digitizing retail, so that we can bring more banking and financial services and many more services to a kirana shop, where you can actually go to the shop and tell him 2 kilo aloo, 1 kilo pyaj, or 500 rupees cash dena mere bank account se. Yeah, and then Pratyaksham Pramadam, you put your thumb and you get your money. India has transitioned from being an angutha chhap to a nation which thrives on the biometrics and identification, self-identification through Aadhaar. So we'll come and talk about more points soon. Samir, you have some interesting questions to debate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anand. And I think when I was doing this introduction, I didn't tell my own name. So my name is Singh Jaini, and I'm part of this firm called The Digital Fifth, and we are primarily in the consulting business on FinTech side. I'll not take more time here. We start with the questions right away. So the first question itself is to Raj. I think what are the key opportunities available in the BFSI and FinTech domain, which are right now running in the right direction, which is growing, and what do you see in the next few years?
So, Samir, the concept of few years, we have to just concise it to few months. Okay, and so that is the first new normal which we'll have to learn. Okay, so if you look at, FinTech is completely disrupting on every side. So right from banking to neobanking, and neobanking being something which is picking up phenomenally well. From trade finance on normal servers to blockchain is something which is picking up very, very well. So, you have neobanking, you have blockchain, you have, embedded finance. There is there's so many opportunities, and these opportunities will keep on multiplying. And what I think is that as we go on and we look at, as Anand was saying, as we penetrate into the tier 2, tier 3, and then eventually the villages, the boom in India for FinTech, for financial technologies is huge. And in my opinion, if I have to pick up, from my standpoint of view, I would look at, neobanking, micro lending, and blockchain as, 3 top concepts. And of course, FinTech, RegTech, all the techs, in every piece, tech is going to be embedded.
Okay, excellent. And maybe Anand, you may take a view more from an inclusion perspective. What do you see as future in terms of opportunities which exist out there on the FinTech side?
So to bring financial liberation to the country, Samir, I think it will take more of people like us who can sachetize, digitize, and universalize the financial services to every common man. And while we live with the vision of bringing most of the financial services to most of the people at most of the places, the skill set required, I would say, is to be able to take the transaction to the last mile in trust mode. Otherwise, to be a cowboy, it's very easy. But to be able to dispense and do mass digital penetration in trust mode is very important. And which, of course, what Raj said will require all of it, the blockchain and the all auto recon, where all you can apply these technologies. So I think a lot is required to do a little bit more. Momentum wise, directionally, we are there.
Okay. And maybe you can bring more of an investor view because you invest in this segment. So what is your hypothesis of future? Will be useful for all of us to know.
So I think sector-wise, I think both Raj and Anand covered everything pretty well. But when I was, if I had to think this question in a different way, what I will say is that we are only in the inning one to improve consumer experience, to have a broader reach in consumer and SMEs in India in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. So we have a long runway to grow and build out great businesses in all these different domains. All with the power of the handheld device, a lot of data can be collected. However, collecting data alone is not important if you cannot utilize it in a much better way to improve these services. So I like all these aspects. And last thing I'll point out is I think now one big opportunity that was not there earlier is this new partnership that you can build out with tech giants that were earlier not possible. And now using this partnership, you can really unlock a much better experience that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. So that's how I'll think holistically.
Okay. Excellent. I think your point is valid that I think innovation is just begun, right? With the cycle, it's just begun. And nothing is really available. We talk generically that the payments have reached to everyone, but that's not happened. We can see the case. PayNearby, you guys are penetrating deep into each segment and helping. So let's move to the key roles, right? So, for example, when you are looking at hiring for people, what kind of key roles do you think are required to sort of handle this kind of change in the market? So, what are the key new roles? Because we always used to have a standard technology team, standard sales team, standard operations team. But this new world, what does it expect? So maybe Raj, your perspective will be useful. What are the new roles do you see in the market?
So funny that you asked that question because today it is so difficult to just box them into a particular skill set. Okay, so how we call Ravindra Jadeja as a floater or Hardik Pandya as a floater, right? Is the concept which is coming in. So you need to have specialists and then you need to have floaters. Okay, so how do you find floaters, right? Floaters who have experience, little bit. They are not specialists, but they have good experience in every aspect of the business, right? Which is very difficult to find. And what is happening today, India is a country of jugaad. So what do we feel? We feel isko le lete hain, अच्छा लग रहा है, aptitude, attitude, ये सब कुछ अच्छा है, इसको ले लेते हैं, बाद में train करेंगे. But and also that mentality that when we take him, first thing is that in our mind, when he will become productive. Is he going to be productive day 1, day 20, day 30? And if he doesn't show results, till about day 60, we write him off. Okay, so it is as fast as that, right? So those, things of like giants like Infosys taking 3 months to train the student, all of that is gone. Means it is kaput today, if you really ask me. So in terms of skill sets, it is very, very tough today, to find guys who have relevant experience because, the concept itself is changing. Okay. Now, and it is moving at a fast pace. It is not that, it is like momentary things, but it is still moving at a very fast pace. So what we look at is, we have this 3 AML model. Okay, we look at whether the adaptability, attitude, flexibility, motivate, is the guy motivated or no? And then we say, okay, if all that is correct, then let's look at his logic. If these 5 things, somehow we are able to find, we are saying, okay, let's take this guy. Job is something which we will teach him, day 1 on the job, learning has to be done. So skill set wise, the gap is so huge that you will never find the ideal bride, right? It is that tough. Okay, and to get somebody who is like a perfect fix is, of course, a lot of luck, plays a role. Okay, as you turn, north of 45, luck comes again and again, multiple times, in the conversations. So if you look at the gap is way too wide, and you do not have like a opening batsman and an opening bowler today. That's my view.
I think the gap is still huge. I mean, when we are hiring from colleges, it's difficult because these guys have no real idea about what they are. Still, everybody wants to still be an investment banker. In colleges or MBA colleges, still understood that when you do FinTech, you do finance. So somebody who's trying to understand the algos, they become the tech guys, right? It doesn't work like that. I mean, they think that in FinTechs, somebody has to do accounting. I don't know what accounting they will do. I think it's a misnomer. And also on the other side, when you look at experienced guys are typically in one segment, right? Somebody has grown in sales, somebody has grown in operations. And I think diversity is not coming, which is what the point, Raj, you were talking about, that people need to have an experience across board, which has not happened, right? So I think those are the challenges which we all see. So maybe quickly from a your perspective, what do you see on the role side? What are the new roles your portfolio companies are looking at right now?
So when I talk to my founders and ask them about this, I get very interesting answers. Those are very similar to what Samir and Raj just said. But to put it in proper words, example is some new roles that are interesting is which founders are looking is business aligned data science role, meaning usually historically you're business people who really don't appreciate data, but then you have good statistician and data science people who really don't understand how the business works. So a lot of founders are facing this challenge, how to marry these two roles as an example. Then if you move towards tech, then you can see that things are getting really more tech and more digital. So how can a product manager utilize opportunities through direct consumer experience, which was not there earlier? Earlier, you will roll out a product and you don't know what's happening, but now with tech and all these digital consumers, you can have a direct interaction, so you know what's happening and how you how as a product manager you take all this feedback, build it out, and go into it. A lot of there is a big gap in that, and it's not being taught, or people don't have experience for that. If I talk to founders when they talk about BFSI risk managers as an example, risk managers, they can now utilize new data points for better underwriting and better approval process as an example. They have all the experience, but then they are stuck in the old data point thinking world, and they are not benefiting, which is not benefiting consumers or SME through all this new data collection gathering. So there is all this skill set gap and things which can be bridged, and it's a little bit slow to happen, but I think as ecosystem develops, those roles will become more prominent, and there will be more people fulfilling those duties. That's how I see it.
Excellent, hero on that. So maybe move to Anand. I think what are the key skill sets would be required by the employees for the future, and how do they sort of get ready for it? So what are skill sets you see are required by the employees?
So referring to previous question, the answer is there. The learnability is most important, which Infosys used to talk about as well. Second is the chief user experience officer is a new role that should emerge. And having said that, because technology is there, data science is there, whatever you spoke of, something or the other SaaS model is there, but the UX has to be the king to drive simplification of the user experience. That said, I believe that it's said in Bengali, "Jutto silai dikke chandi pat." मतलब जो बंदा जूता सिलाई से चंडी पाठ तक सब कर सकता हो, वैसे लोग चाहिए, open mindset वाले. So just learnability is not enough. People with open-minded hustler mentality, go do it. G way, if I would say that if the guys are good, just hire them. They will find what has to be done. So if your organization can get some handful of such leaders, a mid-tier or even at junior level, people who are go-getters, and you can assign them work after work, change roles every day, forget about quarters, forget job rotation. Those kind of people, rare to find, Samir, I know, but wishlist पूछ रहे हो तो बता देते हैं.
No, I think when we get people, they always say that what is my role, and everybody wants to define this role. I do this, I do that, and then I'm saying, where's the organization? I think organizations are now very lean. In a very large organization, you could have these silos and structure saying that tech guys will be tech, operations will be operations. In a small unit of 40, 50, if you have everybody sort of sticking to their table, I think nothing will happen. I think your point is valid, Anand.
Absolutely. And to your point, Samir, there are double up roles now in startups. The product and growth role are combined, which takes marketing. The dev and ops roles are combined. So one has to go, it's like a relay race. You have to do the extra 20 meters for a 100-meter race and handing over baton on both the sides.
You would have seen how India won. No specialists, no, team A, which played, India, team B actually played, or you can call it the team A, which played, and the Indian team didn't play. 6 of them hurt, not able to play, and, a rookie team comes in. In fact, the entire bowling experience, was like 4 matches, right? And they went on and, created history. And you would have seen the match, what happened. Pant played the role, the double role of a wicket keeper and a guy, who held fourth, right? So if you look at it, this is what is happening in real life as well. You don't need Virat Kohli's of the world, to win matches. Sometimes, Pant will give a lot of, pain to Tim Payne, right? So these things are happening now.
So yeah, in the flow it happens, right? I totally get that. Totally get that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think so. Moving on, let's say when you look at your hiring your employees and you need to train, what are the training options you have? How do you train your employees for the new ecosystem? So, any thoughts from your side, Raj? How do you train your people on a new ecosystem? Are there training material available, training content available, anything?
So, what we have done, and especially in our new company called Zigzog, what we have, there is there is no pakka strategy which we are implementing. But what we are doing is that, okay, taking people who are, who have that ability to grasp and learn. Okay. So all MBAs, so, while we cliche term that, you're taking MBAs from IIMs, but, that is what we have actually done. We have recruited rookies who had like 2 years experience or like fresh out of IIMs, and we took about 32 odd people this year, right, and gave them so much of material to go through, right, and then asked them to come and present a case study, and depending on what aptitude they had, then we selected some of them and put them into specific roles to see how they are adapting. And now we are doing a job rotation in basically saying that, okay, you are very good in this, like for example product and growth, as Anand said, right? So somebody whom we had put in growth, we are now putting him in some other thing to see and figure out that how this entire thing will pan out for us. So question is that how many roles do we need, right? Within that, what kind of functions do we need? Then within that functions, what kind of skill set is required, right? When you do this entire mapping, what you would realize is that in terms of training, you need to make them walk through the entire process. Okay, ensure that everybody knows A to Z whether they will work on it or no. And the second thing is that give them lot of case studies. The best way to ask anybody to learn is to give him a case study and then see those case studies getting executed in the market, right? So this is what we are doing in our new company, because all our experience, what we learned over, let's say 200 odd years of our management team, we are putting it back into practice. And practice is that you ensure that you put them, take them as per their aptitude, put them into one particular role, see how they are figuring out, and then use the last part, which is logic. So somebody who has to understand marketing, who has got the flair for marketing, put them into marketing, see the results, give them the case studies, figure out how they are performing, and then keep doing it, right? And for us, this was our first time when we recruited 32 IM guys for us, but I'm extremely pleased with the result. Yeah, and I'm happy that the aptitude is great, the yearning for learning is phenomenal. Okay, and that is what is helping us today to be able to move at a very, very fast pace.
Excellent, excellent. And moving to Anand from your side, I mean, what is the framework you have on your side for skilling them? So, where do you send your people? How do you train them?
So see, we are a younger organization, Samir, and this is a matter of stage as well, that initially you have to get friends who can deliver. These are lateral hires. And once the shops are stable, you start getting people with learnability capabilities who are willing to be there and learn. And then on the job, like you were saying, that on day one, you should be then able to pick up things and hustle it through. So I think it's we haven't been able to yet go to the IITs and IIMs, and I believe that if India has to be digitized, yahi mati uthegi aur yahi zarra chamkega. The same raw material will be applied for getting extraordinary output. So you don't need to wait for, without belittling the friends from Alma Mater and what Raj is getting. But सिर्फ वो उसके लिए wait नहीं कर सकते आप. You have to create a conducive environment, the transparency, the comfort, the confidence building that you do with your colleagues. Employee is a negative word. For example, at PayNearby, my HR calls once employee. He looks twice if Anand is around. We call them colleagues. Everyone owns the organization. There is ESOP for all. So I think beyond just training, there is culture and the mindset which helps people to be open. I don't know if these are attributes of an open university where people can walk up, learn, ask questions freely with why are you doing this? Why not now? Why tomorrow? So I think there is a lot more to skill than just a management institute or a pedigree. The job role, the excitement in the environment is enough to teach you. You don't learn swimming by coming from B school or यहाँ से आए हो तभी swimming सीख पाओगे. You jump in and you learn swimming, right? That's how you learn swimming, Samir, in your school. I was thrown open into the swimming pool. So the environment has to be conducive, that willingness has to be there, or that fear, more important, has to be there. क्या कल बदलेगा, कल कौन सा रेगुलेशन छीकेगा और कल किसको डायरिया होगा. That teaches you a lot. And it's like Formula 1. You are on the steering. You can't be referring to a Bible or a book. A digital is like that. Be there and just drive it. So learnability, like I would say, I pick up from Raj and what Hero said earlier. Right mindset. बंदा काम कर लेगा. काम कर लेगा.
And from your perspective, how do you train investor community? Because you must be hiring in your team as well, and hiring from some place, and how do you ensure that they take the right decision, because they may not be in the industry itself, but you're hiring fresh. So how do you hire, and how do you sort of get them ready for good investment decisions?
So it's pretty difficult. There is no cookie cutter approach, or you cannot I guess, mass manufacture or produce people in that skill set, if I had to put it that way. But we look for a lot of personality traits, traits around critical thinking, traits around open to learn and unlearn. Skill set that you learned 5 years ago may no longer be relevant now. Time has changed, market is changing, landscape is changing all the time. And you should be very open to hear the other view or something you have missed. Curiosity, you should be very curious in this business as an investor, because most of the time you may see this business model that has never been there. So if you're not curious enough, how you will figure it out? What's happening, what's not happening? Can it become big? And one trait that I always look, at least on my side, is optimism. I think it's very easy to be pessimist, but optimism takes you a long way. People ask, what if this investment fails? What if this company fails? Okay, yes, if it fails, I know what will happen. But what if it succeeds? How big it can be? What are the bounds? Do we know anything? And nobody could have seen or predicted likes of, let's say, Airbnb or DoorDash, which were supposed to be a very difficult business, and now they are close to anywhere 70, 80, 100 billion market cap, right? So when I think about similar things, we see which one of these traits are in the people and how do they fit in, and then hopefully we take a decision that they can be great investors. So that's how we think.
Excellent. And so generally we also do a lot of trainings, right? So what we realize that when we train, we also tend to get people like you to train, because the kind of experience you have is also useful. So I think my perspective has been right now more practitioners' view is useful, because you have your scars on your back and you will tell the truth rather than a bookish knowledge. I think that's my practical view, that let's ensure that we go to the next set of people. They understand the facts as they are. They don't understand the case studies and what has happened in US, Europe, and all. I think India is the background for doing most of the experimentation, and the market is really hot in terms of complexities. And I totally get that. Today, if you have to figure out what is happening, you have to read every day. RBI will get your new regulation out, and then something next will change, and some article will come in paper. I mean, today we are all under that. Lending related changes. I don't know what will happen. Every time I talk to a lender now, he comes back and saying, Samir, give me a view what is happening. Then you have NUE coming up. So I think the flux is very high. and it's important that we read. So when you are training today, we have to read upfront as well. So every time I train, I said, oh, I have to refresh myself. So difficult, so difficult. So yeah, I think let's move to the next point. I mean, this is one perspective we have seen, that individually I've seen people looking at their learnability a lot. So in our trainings, they come, they join on their own, spend the weekends learning. But when it comes to corporate, I've seen the when corporates nominate their employees, there's definitely a resistance, right? We see, oh, my company is, and so whenever we see our cohort and we see 50% of them coming from corporates, they tend to say no, not happy with this activity of learning. So how do you motivate your team? Maybe Raj, maybe from your perspective, how do you motivate your team to sort of learn new skills? Because there is lack of adaptability at times. How do you sort of go through it?
So if we don't hire them, Samir. So if there is no quest for learning, so there is no question that he would be in our team.
Okay, I think that's very straight and simple. But yeah, I think maybe it happens, and it has happened in our team that people are not learning. Maybe Anand, maybe any other thought process other than getting over with that guy?
So I I agree with Raj, but that one has to be really lucky to get such and then such people. But then that's where the corporate storytelling also helps, where the colleagues little older in the organization, a 5-year startup can't say we are decades old. But when people start sharing corporate learnings, the experiences and the scar on the back, what hit you during Demon, what hit during ILFS or during the Notebandi or Deshbandi. So that knowledge sharing, experience sharing helps a lot. And then there are so many friends in the industry, Samir, people like you who come and talk to our colleagues from a real life environment, what is happening. To train, I've been working with a couple of large multilateral bodies. The 900-page booklet is not good. To be able to depict things in a video and with a gamified testing mode is easy on everyone. Of course, it costs you a little bit, but there are things that you are able to. But I'm talking not of the colleagues alone. I'm talking of my retail partners, the 500,000 that we need to train and upskill them regularly. So it's not just my team who does this, what we do. It's my 500,000 retail partners who are helping the statutized services to the nation. So helping build their morale, helping build their skill set, helping them get soft skills and capabilities to do digital transactions, because all of them are first to digital. Forget about first to lending. So the skill set required beyond the willingness to learn, I don't think there is anything else that surpasses the importance. The willingness to learn hai, to ho jata hai.
Okay.
And इसलिए Samir, like in our earlier company, we had a chief business officer who wasn't willing to go digital, who just wasn't willing, to learn. And, we realized, so we consulted him a couple of times. Then, we actually had, somebody who was very good in digital and also was a coach. We hired a coach for him. And then post that also, if things don't change, what do you do? So, we have to let him go, because we can't have an organization fail, because somebody is at a very senior position and then not wanting to learn. Okay. Yeah. And it also matters, when they see their founder or they see their, MD, like posting all kind of information, learning, showing a lot of participation, right? And they will typically follow the leader. So all the colleagues who are there, they are our partners for fostering growth, right? And, we explain to them that if you don't learn, what will happen to you? Right. And we come across certain people who have certain resistance to particular skills. Like, for example, a product guy will say, I don't have anything to do with tech. I just hate coding. Okay. Of course, you hate coding is beautiful, right? But the point is, how will you understand the tech guy's problem, if you are not able to, explain the BRD to him? He says, I don't care. There are like those cases which come up, right? Which are basically more adaptability issues than learning issues. So those things we have to handle. We have to get coaches in, we have to get, experts, subject matter experts. And sometimes we have to get behavioral coaches, okay, who will come in, explain, why a certain guy is behaving in that. But you have to make sure that all the big screws, have that ability to learn. and fit in wherever required. If the big screws are not willing to fit in, then the organization will have a lot of issues. And this has been, from my past experience, when I hired a auto driver, this was about, 2001, and I was traveling in an auto, and, I got speaking to the auto guy. I told him, how much do you make? I made an offer to him, right in that auto. Okay, he said 100 rupees per day, main banata hu, sir. I said, okay, I'll give you 3,000 rupees and Sundays are free. Those days we used to work on Saturdays. And, believe me, this guy in 11 years became the general manager supply chain. Okay, with a salary of about, 1.5 lakhs a month, from 3,000 rupees a month. Okay. So the question is, but, where would you find such heroes here? Very difficult. मतलब उनको ढूंढने के लिए जौहरी चाहिए, जौहरी के पास टाइम नहीं है, तो कहाँ ढूंढेंगे, राइट? कहाँ मिलेगा? So that is why it is very, very important that, follow the rule 3-2-1-0. If you hire 6 people, 3 will automatically go, 2 you will remove, 1 will remain with you, who will eventually become 0.
Okay.
So this philosophy we have to put in here, and this is an everyday battle, right? This is a battle which you have to fight every day. Talent is scarce, intelligence is scarce, logic is scarce, but we have a huge population, huge मतलब huge, लेकिन उनकी deployability एक बहुत बड़ा concern है आज की डेट में. No, and that is where, we are all struggling to find, कैसे कोई एक ऐसा, how do you call that, Rubik's cube बनाया जाए कि ऐसे खेले वैसे खेले ये खेले और finally, the Rubik's cube is solved, right? So that is the, what do you call, the puzzle hunter, we are all trying to figure out, okay, in this world, and all my fellow entrepreneurs are, they're all figuring this out. Okay, in fact, if you go a little bit deeper, you will realize that, you picked somebody for X skill and you realize that he is phenomenal in Y skill, right? And then you don't know what to do with that guy because he's so good at Y and you have put him in X. So these are like everyday, fires which you have to understand, which you have to literally play with and live with, and keep improving ultimately what matters is how are you improving the organization. So we have a program called Raise the Bar. Every guy who goes out of the company, the new guy who is coming into the company has to be better than the old guy. Right? So you put up programs like Raise the Bar, you put up, मुझे कई बार डर लगता है कि कहीं ये मेरे को kick out ना कर दें. But I'll be happy the day they kick me out.
Excellent. In fact, just to give you a quick background, so when I started my entrepreneurial journey 4 years back, so the first idea I had was to take a training on FinTech, and I realized there was no training, nothing was available. So we ended up creating ourselves the first set of training in India. And then the content started, and we did long-term programs on all of that. And then FinTech became a normal thing, right? Everybody knows FinTech now, a bit of it here. Then we got into open banking, and then again got deep into it. And then we realized that there's more to it, right? So every day we do a course. Every time we do a 2 months, even down the line, some course, things change, right? Digital lending is now what used to be 2 years back. Today, everything is different, right? So I think the pace is different. And one more piece we have realized. So we're trying to construct a new program which is on FinTech, open banking. One thing which we realized, and this is a long-term program, 4-month program, we realized that entrepreneurship is missing. I think we get people who are working more on the salary side and less on the entrepreneurship side. So this time we've added. So I wanted to specifically ask this question that what's the need of, because this is in the FinTech ecosystem, you guys are leading the organization. What's the need, for example, you hire a tier 2 leader or maybe top management guy or maybe middle layer. What is the need for entrepreneurship in that structure? How much do you see, if you see entrepreneur to be sitting at the tier 2, tier 3 level, not at the top management only? And since we have last few minutes left, I just keep it very short, and then we'll sort of come to a closure statement. So maybe we'll start with Hero from your side, because you are more on the investor side and we are looking at the teams. You look at one entrepreneur, below that all employees. How does it feel and how do you help?
It's considering how fast the technology is moving, considering how fast the regulation is changing, considering how fast the form factor, handheld device, everything is changing so much. you don't need to have, if only the top level management is the entrepreneur and nobody else below them is like that, it's very difficult to get things speed up, have the agenda. So everybody has to have the similar mindset, similar goal to drive the ship in the right direction. Everybody has to be curious enough to solve the problem at fastest possible pace. So I think all these traits that we discussed, like critical thinking, ability to learn, unlearn, see landscape changing and change with it, if you don't have any wind in your sails and wind is coming from other direction, change your tack and, go and capture that wind. Having all those traits are very important in middle layer management. And I can give you example, not from our industry, but let's take the example from IT services industry. There used to be people who used to be mid-level project manager. They stayed there, did very well. And in last few years, when digital came, business models moved from lift and shift to all these new digital technology. They used to call it smack stack and all those things. And people who were not able to adapt and change, they were nowhere. They have to leave. They have to get reskilled, or companies that didn't innovate and they couldn't hire people, or they didn't have the culture of training these people, they got left behind. And companies that stayed on forefront kept on executing and went ahead. So it's the nature of the industry. It's nature of the business. You have to be entrepreneurial at every single level, in my view.
Maybe quick closure comments from your side, Anand and Raj. Anand, first you.
Entrepreneurship can't be taught. I would agree. These are attributes by throwing them into the water and showing the bread on the other side. Probably the hunger to go and grasp it. The objective and purpose alignment also helps create entrepreneurs, if I may submit, Samir. But I believe also the ESOPs, the ownership, is important. The sense of purpose and sense of ownership. These two things certainly help people become entrepreneurs. And we see this, we live by it.
And Raj, I think you have been sort of.
What I feel is that, not everybody needs to be entrepreneur, right? And the entrepreneurial skills, are not really required with every function. So, horses for the courses is how we should do. And depending on, what particular function it is, okay, you don't want, let's say a data analyst to be very entrepreneurial, okay, because you're supposed to do, you don't want a quant guy, for example, right? Somebody is, we have like a couple of guys on the stats and, on math side. We don't want them to be too entrepreneurial in terms, because, they will play around with modeling. Playing around with the model is fantastic. But then, there are certain skills where you really want strong guys, with tremendous ability to deep dive into that particular function. So I would say largely, if we have the top management team, which is, entrepreneurial, and then also the culture of entrepreneurship flows through, while balancing the stability act. Too many entrepreneurs means they don't want to log in. They don't want to, they say, today I won't work because I don't feel like, right? So all those things you have to balance, and while all of us understand and know that, entrepreneurship, we mean it in the sense of, they're doing their work, with full shiddat is what I would say.
Thank you, Raj. In fact, you said that on any day you think that I will not log in because you're an entrepreneur. I think entrepreneur logs in every day, every night. I think if I were to send a message to any one of you, I'm sure you'll respond back late at night, which is what happened the other day. I was trying to get you on board. So I think, and then I also believe that those who say that you burn out when you work hard, I think that is also strange if you are passionate. So I think we work on Sundays as well. All of us do. So I think with this we close. Thank you for this great session. I think in the whole interest of listening, I was actually not really tracking the time. I just got a message that the time is over. But I loved the whole interaction. Thank you, Hero. Thank you, Raj.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Hero.
Thank you, Samir.
Thank you very much.
But just to close, Samir, I would say that every rocket needs a fire. And not all rockets, every part of the rocket reaches the moon. There are burnouts. So it's all part of the game.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you, Hero.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.